In this video, I'm going to talk about the differences between supervised and unsupervised learning. Supervised learning is a machine learning technique wherein we have a target variable. This means we have past data telling us what the correct answer is. If my objective is to build a model that can predict a house's value, I would have the sale price for houses that have already sold to teach the model. You can see here an illustration of houses on a street. The goal in this supervised learning task will be to predict a value for each house on the street. Conversely, with unsupervised learning, there is no target variable in our dataset. You can see the column sale price is now gone. Thus, our model has no way to learn what the house values should be. For this reason, we have to alter the question. If we look back at our original illustration, we are no longer going to ask what a house would sell for, but rather which houses are similar. But why is clustering useful? A real-world example of how clustering can be used is movie recommendations. When using a streaming platform, services will often recommend movies you would like based on past films you have watched. One way to do this is through clustering movies that are similar. When you watch a movie in one cluster, the streaming service may recommend another movie in that same cluster. So if you've watched Billy Madison, you may be recommended Happy Gilmore, since they are similar. It's important to understand that with clustering, there is no such thing as a correct output. Let's use my cluster on the right to explain why. The cluster containing Schindler's List, The Pianist, and Night Will Fall all broach the same subject, the Holocaust, so this cluster makes sense in a lot of ways. But Night Will Fall is a documentary, while the others are not. Does this mean it doesn't belong? There is no objective answer. The key to clustering isn't about making objectively correct clusters, but rather finding useful clusters. I would argue this cluster is useful, despite the mix of documentaries and dramas. If a viewer liked one film in this cluster, there is a strong chance they would like any of the others. While there is no right cluster, I would say there are wrong clusters. After watching Billy Madison, Netflix probably shouldn't recommend Schindler's List. There are no similarities between the films. Thus, if the two are grouped together, we have created something that is not useful. So as a recap, supervised learning is when you have the target value for past data, which will inform the model on how to make predictions on new data. Unsupervised learning is not about making predictions, but rather grouping things that are similar.